concerns about that.
Yeah, and then we sort of came on to the Callum Watkins. I was going
Yeah.
to say tackle, but more of an assault on Greg Eden. Now, I think it probably
It,
should have been a red card, but it was only a yellow card because it was Greg Eden, so you get penalty back in your
you
favour.
see, you see, obviously the crowd really blew up about it. And there was a bit of debate in the commentary, wasn't there? I think to me, it was dangerous. It had potential to be a lot more serious. So to me, a yellow card was totally justified. It didn't get dangerous in the sense that he didn't land on his head. He landed kind of across his shoulders, didn't he? But that can still
Yeah,
cause
it
damage.
was it was
And
the
his legs did go, his hips did go above his head.
the
So
mechanism for me was what made it more dangerous. That the way his shoulder was out and splayed, that was going to cause a far nastier injury than actually if he just landed on his head in terms of a separated shoulder or doing a rotator cuff or something like that because he was moving
yeah,
against the force of his body because of the
yeah,
angle
maybe.
that he'd been put. So to me, that was properly dangerous rather than just reckless. And so I wouldn't have complained at a red card for that. What I think was the worst bit of it was his reaction to it.
Yeah,
And this is the man who's supposedly the Leeds captain, and he is showing that sort of reaction to the referee when he's done something clearly stupid and
yeah,
clearly wrong. You know, when you make a bad tackle, you generally know you've made it, and you generally hold your hand up and say, "Look, okay, it could have been," and you take what's coming. To do that and then to start mouthing off at the referee was just idiotic. And I think it did, um, Kendall did very well just to keep him calm really and keep him just off and like, look, just go rather than letting that brawl over because that was stupid really.
yeah. I mean, there was a general lack of discipline, wasn't there, from Leeds? You had that thing with Merrin's penalty for mouthing off as well, and then he tries to cover it up by saying, I wasn't shouting at you,"
Yeah.
which isn't convincing anybody.
No,
Uh,
especially when and the problem with Trent Merrin now is he's built a reputation for himself.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
he's
yeah, yeah. They're a very indisciplined team. And yeah, it was just too comfortable for Cass, wasn't it? You couldn't see anybody else. You couldn't see any other result, quite frankly. Um, and just to give Leeds a little bit of credit, as
yeah.
much as I probably shouldn't. What do you think about? Obviously, Lola here went off early on. They had to reshuffle. What kind of impact did you think that had
It
by
didn't
putting
seem to
Sutcliffe in his 15th different position?
it didn't seem to have phased them too much. I think as much as we've said about Sutcliffe that he needs a position to develop in, equally he does give you that versatility where you've got an in-game injury that you can slot him in pretty much anywhere,
Yeah,
and he's
true.
got some
Yeah,
experience of that position. That
yeah, that's true enough.
he's got some sort of muscle memory of where to go and where to play there. And I think actually, if anything, he kind of kept them more organised at that point because he knew he was making up and he knew the spotlight was on him, and it actually helped to have his vision, which he does have, although he can't always execute on it. It did help to have that sat behind the play to try and guide them around a bit. So it did tighten them up a little bit, if anything, in defence. And I think that sort of coming quite early on did mean that he had time to settle into the game a bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough.
And I think to be fair to them as
Yeah,
well, I think young Callum McClelland looked pretty good as well. And I think if he gets the experience of playing behind a more dominant pack and not having to do so much defensive work, I think he could do very well.
yeah. I mean, to me, I think McClellan and Newman were probably the two best players for Leeds, which is shocking, really, because at the end of the day, they're only young players who are coming into, they should be built, as you say, building off the back of other players. That you shouldn't be looking to them to be leading the team around. Because at the end of the day, it seemed like to me the only idea was get into the tackle and force an offload, which worked for their one try, but it just showed a complete lack of structure, didn't it?
Yeah, and it showed that they didn't have the ideas or the creativity to be able to pull something out where they did have opportunities and they did get through, but they just didn't really have the thinking play of almost to be able to calm it down and say at this point this is what we need to do, and this is hit an option or to throw it out wide quickly, rather than they're just going through that very basic structure because that's kind of what they were falling back on.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, they're in a heck of a mess of Leeds. I just can't see. Yeah, you can't see the way. You can't see a way forward, which is hilarious for me, but not for any Leeds fans out there.
Yeah,
What?
I don't think Richard Agar is having the desired effect of that that no one took. I agree with your points from last week that the disparity between what the general populace think of him versus what owners, chairman, and players think of him is
Yeah,
vast. I've never understood Richard Agar, and I don't think I ever will. He's just one of those mysteries.
we obviously can't see something,
Yeah,
but
Agar and
yeah,
Shergar, put them
yeah.
together.
Can we just briefly, just before we move on, just briefly mention Watkins, other than his body slamming career to come. Um, it, are we definitely saying he's done now? After he was given the ball in the clear and got pulled down from behind by, was it Eden who got back to him or somebody? I can't remember who got back to him now. But
Oh
in years
yeah,
gone by, he'd have been gone. He'd have been shut the gate. He'd have been under the posts,
and even
and he
he
got
or he'd be able to improve, or what he'd do is be able to put somebody else into space for it.
yeah,
So he'd
yeah,
be able to take in a couple of players running towards one corner and
yeah,
then chuck it 30 metres to someone else running in support, a Danny Maguire running in support.
yeah. But no, to me, yeah, if your confidence is gone, I don't know what's going to rebuild it, and getting pumped every week as Leeds are is not going to help. So
No.
we'll see.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got to say on this one.
Have you got a particular? Do you want to pick out an individual player you thought had a good game?
Um, I'd probably say Chase Blair. Actually, I think he looked settled. He looked like he'd got himself into playing, and I think he was generally smart all round.
Yeah, yeah, he looked good to me. I'm going to go for Jesse Senilifeo. I thought his two tries were really good, and good meters, looked dangerous, running good lines, kind of out wide. So yeah, I'll go for Jesse for me.
Fair enough. And yeah, in terms of highlight moments, I suppose if you're a Leeds fan, it's probably the final hooter. Was that it?
Final whistle.
Was it the beginning before you knew what was happening?
Maybe the highlight for the Leeds fans was sitting in a nice new seat. I don't know. That might be it.
Yeah, that probably was
Yeah.
as good as it got.
Right then, we'll move on to Friday night then.
Yeah.
So it was quite a slobber knocker down at the Totally Wicked. It finished St Helens 32, Salford 30. It was 18-16 to Salford at half time. 9,446 were there to watch this, and Scott Michalauskas was refereeing this one. In terms of statistics, no Saints player made more than 31 tackles. I think that's a function of A, Roby's not playing, and B, there were lots of missed tackles. But yeah, for the winning St Helens side, Tommy Makinson with 2 tries, 176 metres, 7 tackle busts, and 2 clean breaks. That's not a bad shout for an effort. It's all right, isn't it? Lachlan Coote with 3 tries, 2 try assists, 188 metres. Again, not bad. And 2 clean breaks. Walmsley with 155 metres, and future Great Britain winger Regan Grace with 1 try assist and 140 metres. For the losing Salford side, unlucky Salford side, George Griffin with 41 tackles, Niall Evans with 2 tries, 163 metres, Robert Louis with a try assist, 124 metres and 3 offloads, and Jackson Hastings with a try assist, 115 metres and 3 offloads.
Yeah, we had lots of fan views on this one, starting off with Paul O'Brien, POB 1976, who said a great start from Saints made it look like it was going to be a walk in the park, but what a comeback by Salford to lead at half time. A great start from Salford in the second half before a Saints comeback, and he just couldn't give them possession. A costly penalty from Dudson gave Saints a chance, and they took that chance. Heartbreak from Salford, but Saints just never gave up.
They never do, apparently.
You can't write them off, apparently.
Can't write them off. Frogmore says, even when we lose, we win. Never write off the Saints.
Yeah, Paul Chamberlain said, bollocks. Nearly turned off 16 minutes in, but turned out to be a superb game. Shame for Salford, as a victory plus the Catalan win could have been season-defining performances. We knew the fix was in early when there was circle jerking about a fire nearly being good as grace, and so it was the knock-on for the winning tries. Still, we will make bottling the finals, like both comps last year, all the sweeter.
Tom Andrews says, Tom Andrews again, best telegame I've seen this season, and Salford lost, so that's a bonus. On the positive, our new recruit Louis was immense. You just can't deny how good Saints are. They took their foot off the gas for a bit too long, but the quality showed in the end. You can't write off the Saints.
Yeah. David Kay said, great entertainment, lots of quality and big hits. Salford were good enough but not quite smart enough to get the win. Shame for them, as they really play for each other.
Josh says, I really feel for Salford. They dominated that game and played really well, but just didn't manage out of the last 15 minutes. Another questionable try call at the end, which was the decider of the game, and I'd hate to be a ref to make them. Yes.
Yeah. Sinead Casey said, what a game, fab effort from both sides. It's a real shame that it looked like a knockout cost Salford the 2 points. In my opinion, if the ref needs to refer a decision to the video ref, it should be done without his opinion on what's happened. The video ref is there to make the correct call, so the ref's opinion shouldn't matter.
Thanks for getting. I don't recognise the name Sinead, so thank you for getting in touch. We've talked ad nauseum about video refs and should they be making a live call and how does that influence the subsequent decisions. It does have an influence, definitely. But as it happens, I happen to think it was the right call. But yes, St David says, many Saints, myself included, felt we ran out of steam last year and needed to rotate. Games like Friday are the price to be paid. Salford were unlucky to lose in the end, but 15 minutes at the start and the end of the game were just enough to get Saints home. Walmsley was key with Coote and Makinson. Highlight, though, again, was a grace break for the first try. Bring on the Tigers, onwards.
Yeah, that Regan grace break was absolutely superb. Again, showing he's just got that instinct when he spots the gap. Off we go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was making my notes as I was watching this one, and I kind of thought it was slightly like picky poison in the first it was 12 minutes, wasn't it, when they went 16-0 up. They were cut up any which way. If you cut down one threat, then another one had come in. So if it wasn't Coote, it was Lomax, or if it wasn't them, it was Grace, or whoever it was. You just couldn't stop them. And to be brutally honest, I thought that was it. I mean, I wasn't quite ready to turn off, but you can kind of think about, well, maybe I'll just look at Twitter and keep the game on in the background. But I do think there's an element of lackadaisicalness that came into it, letting the 40-20 kind of be kicked. It was a great kick, but at the end of the day, it's
giving the space to have that time
exactly, and you can try to cut those things off. And I thought the first try for Salford it was a bit soft from Dudson. But yeah, I mean, and then they came rowing back into it. It's an illustration of momentum in a game, isn't it? This one, backwards and forwards, and the weight of possession just telling, really. I have to say, I thought it was probably the most open game I've seen this year.
Yeah,
there wasn't much
flow, sort of coast to coast, with lots of movement, and there was a lot of sort of breaks of sort of 20 metres or so rather than 5 or 6 metres.
It was a bit. It was a bit, we don't need no stinking defence, you know what I mean? We'll outscore you type thing. And I think both teams thought that because they were both pretty dynamic in attack. I'm trying to work through the game, the things that I remember seeing now. I want to mention Christian Inu with his Ryan Atkins attempt to try to claim a try that definitely wasn't. Nice try, Christian, but not quite. Yeah, I mean,